goals, dreams and goals, dreams and goals. Get results.
Christina, welcome to the DG show. We got rolling already. Baseball brings people together. We started chit-chatting, and here we are, one on the rabbit hole about people hating San Francisco. I hate San Francisco for one reason only, because of the Giants. But other than that, I love California. So welcome to the DG show. For people out there, who are you and what do you do? I know you're an incredible DJ. I was actually watching some of your stuff on Instagram. It was awesome. And besides being a DJ, bodybuilder, and you introduce yourself on who you are and what you do.
Oh, thank you so much, Dustin, for having me. I love that question, because it's like, which box do I pull out first, right? And I always want to inspire people that I think there's two questions we get asked in San Francisco is either, have you been to Burning Man? Which I always want to ask them, like, are you asking me if I party and I wear costumes?
Yes.
Or what do you do? And so then it's like, are you asking me how I make money? I would lovingly say that I'm on my fourth life. My first life, unfortunately, was a product of a very bad childhood, and kind of pulled up myself by my bootstraps. I put myself through my undergrad. I went to a military academy. I was one of eight women. I remember calling one of the alumni to, of course, ask for money, and this guy was so old, and he said, wait a second, are they letting women in this school now? And I said, yes, sir. Yes, they are.
Was his name JT by chance? I'm sorry, it's an inside joke, but that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So after school, I spent just over a decade in corporate America, working my way to the top. And at the time, I was managing almost $1 billion worth of shit between capital acquisitions and third-party contracting.
Nice.
30, hated my job. I remember at the time I just negotiated all these contracts, and then literally they came to me and they were like, yeah, we're going to need you to go to legal and see if we can get out of these so that we can make our P&L statement look better. And I thought, okay, I'm going to need to leave. And at the time, a friend of mine had cancer. And man, they wanted to charge her like $2,000 to get hair extensions. And you're probably like, where is this segue into bodybuilding? And so I told her, I said, listen, I can figure this out. I went into Tap Plastics, and I ended up creating a series of hair extension products that you could put in under 45 minutes. And so I ran that startup for almost 7 years, till I found myself sitting in the bathtub. I'd spent all my money, cleaned out my stocks, my bonds, and it was pretty bad. I'd segued into bodybuilding because here I was running this beauty company, and I'd pretty much worn a uniform my whole life, both from a mental standpoint and a physical standpoint, because when you're a woman and you're trying to work your way to the top, you're really not trying to stand out for aesthetic reasons. And, so now I'm running this startup, and I kind of had to find my confidence. And so I went and I hired a coach, and oh my God, if you would see these old photos of me, I was very stupid. You'd see me like walking across the stage with like my hand up, like, look at me. Anyhow, and so, I spent almost 12 years competitively bodybuilding. It took me 3 years to turn pro. Yeah.
Awesome.
It took me 3 years to become an IFBB pro. And I remember that I'd started coaching, and I remember there was just this moment where I thought, I'm making monsters right now. And really it was because on the outside, people were perfect, magazines and aesthetically what everybody thinks that they aspire to, as if they looked a little bit different, then maybe their life would be a little bit different. And that was not the case. And so I ended up going back to school. I got my master's in nutrition, and I spent 2 years driving to Sacramento to get behavioral management and life coaching certification. Now, when people tell you that they coach, and that's what I do primarily for my how I make money, back in the day in 2011, and they thought you were like a baseball coach. and it just wasn't a thing. Not like it is now, where
Yeah.
everyone and their dad is. I think I was put on this planet really to help people through food and our environment, and so I work with folks on every level, from celebrities to professional athletes to stay-at-home moms, try to uncover what's going on in their life and live a happier, healthy, fulfilling life, because hurt people hurt people.
That is the truth. I hurt a lot of people for a long time because broken childhood. I get it. I don't know my dad. I was homeless at 14, abusive household, drug field, the whole thing, lived on a park bench. And so I kept everybody at a distance for a long time. And it was really till my son was born where I was able to open myself up to my wife and my family and those around me. Because it's hurt people, hurt other people. But I do want to know, since you can uncover things, we're talking about people judging. So I'm a Disney adult, okay? And I'm proud of it. I go to Disney 3 to 4 times a year. It's what we do every Christmas. I love Disney, right? Well, so I didn't get to go to Disney as a kid. And I thought actually Disney was a fake place. I thought it was a made up place. So the first time I got to go, I was like, holy shit, this is the greatest place on earth. Especially when you go with kids, right? I have 3 young children, so it's just our fun time. It's so a whole family can enjoy. There's some things, and I'll say my wife and I's greatest date to me is when we go to Disney, just us two, because it's so much fun, the food, the rides. But you said it earlier, people are like, well, I hate San Francisco. It's when's the last time you've been? Well, I've never been. It's how do you hate it, right? Why do people hate Disney so bad? And you'll be like, when's the last time you've been? And they're like, I've never been. Or when I was a kid. And I'm like, so wait, you're an adult, you've never been, and you hate. Why do people hate on stuff they know nothing about? You're going to work today.
It's fear. It's fear. Yeah. I think what it is it's we usually resist what persists. And I think in their mind, it's like you said, as a child, if you didn't have the opportunity to go to Disney, you can either rip other people's houses down brick by brick, or you can be curious and you can try to experience it and you can show up for yourself. But I think it's fear oftentimes.
I think so. I always.
Do you ask them?
It's what's that? I get.
Do you ask them?
I do. I get pissed off about it. Actually, it's one of my hot buttons. I try not to let a lot of things bother me, but I'll be people who are like, "Oh, Disney adults are crazy," and I'm like, "It's just fun." I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah, well, I'm a little crazy, but it is." Why does other people enjoying their time bother other people so bad? Take Disney out of it. Why does, if whatever you like to do, right? Even with bodybuilding, right? You'll see people hate, they spend all their time bodybuilding. I'm like, why does what makes somebody else happy bother people? And I think it comes down to their insecurities. They're unhappy. And so when they see other people happy, it's not about what that person's doing. It's about them seeing somebody else be happy and do what they can't do.
It's interesting that you say that, and even to segue Disney as the example. Usually when a client first starts, one of the first conversations I have with them is, hey, someone in your life that you love or that you respect is all of a sudden going to start backhanded compliments, or they're going to start being, derogatory around your experience. And I said, it really is an insecurity. And what it really means is they've either never seen someone make progress in their life. Maybe with Disney, they've never experienced this state of happiness. And so instead of embracing it with curiosity and asking questions, because, with Disney, it's one thing, but let's say, for example, it's you trying to be healthy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what part of drinking a bunch of water, getting a good night's sleep, and not drinking? And really, it's change, right? Insecurity and change. If you take someone who's on a health kick and they say, hey, I'm going to start establishing some boundaries around alcohol, and then they go out, they're just talking shit to them like, well, why aren't you drinking? Well, how come this? And it's like, well, what are my lifestyle choices have anything to do with you and yours? And really it is, they've never seen someone happy before, and they don't know how to get to that Disney happy state. And they need to find some courage in them. Obviously it's happy people are not focusing on other folks talking shit about anything except for the Giants.
Exactly, except for the Giants.
So.
Well, but also too, it's crazy that I feel like so many people, the problem of the world nowadays is too many people grow up and they don't allow that childlike behavior, to have imagination, to like let their guard down, to be able to go try things, right? Like try things and be curious and want to learn. The world become your library instead of just having everything up like I'm too cool for school. I can't be a part of that. I
Yeah.
don't want anything to do with that. I get it. Like I did it for a long time, but I think at some point you gotta let it down. And I also think what you just said is really weird. So I stopped drinking a few years ago. Like nothing happened, and people always, what happened? Nothing happened. Oh man, did you do that? No, nothing happened. Like it was just I just felt like I wasn't operating to my full potential, and I started really focusing on being the man I'm supposed to be. Like, it's like being the father I'm supposed to be. Is like I base my entire life off that, being the husband I want to be, and it's like drinking just doesn't fit in that equation for me, right? Like maybe it does for you. And then
Yeah.
I realized the reason I had to go drink at a party was because I was insecure about being around people. The reason I had to drink to socialize was because I was insecure about who I was. And so if you need a drink to socialize, you're just insecure. And I actually have more fun now not drinking at events because I remember everything that happens. And so, but I really think it's like a really weird time. There's more people nowadays having that, like I heard the word the other day, sober curious, right? It's those conversations of being sober. And like when you go to dinner and somebody orders a drink and they're like, what do you drink? And you're like, water. Have a drink with me. Like, I'm good. I don't drink. Well, why not? I just don't drink.
Right.
And then the question is,
Right.
why do you drink? And I've yet to
Yeah.
have anyone be able to answer that for me. Like me, I can tell you 100 reasons why I don't drink, right? And hey, man, it's fun and there's nothing against it. I always say I'm not done drinking forever. I haven't made that decision. Maybe one day I'll go enjoy whatever. Like I'm not opposed to it. I have nothing against it. Like my friends drink, people around me drink. It's cool. I don't care. But it's like, why are you worried about what is not in my glass? And why don't you worry about what's in your glass? Like, why are you so offended that I don't drink? And
Yeah.
when I ask that question, so it's like, but I do feel like we're getting to this place now where that conversation's happening more and more and more about, hey, maybe this isn't the best for me. And I think it's a good sign for people because there are people that just can't handle it, right? And they don't have
Yeah.
that off switch. And I'm glad we're getting to that point.
I think what they're trying to do, if you look at it from like a behavioral science perspective, from a coaching perspective, they're trying to, it's called the vie for connection. And unfortunately, whether it's alcohol, whether it's food, they're using this conduit to connect over, right? And so if you're abstaining, for them, it feels like, oh, you don't want to participate in what I'm going to do. And it's actually like, no, actually, we can connect and have lots of conversations. I don't need to be altered to be there. For me, I can share with you, I enjoy the taste of wine. I'm a grown ass adult. So what I do when I go out is I think to myself, do I want to be tired right now? Because let's be real. I'm up at, 6 a.m. I'm probably just like you, we're hard chargers. We have a lot of things we're trying to accomplish during the day. And I have to ask myself, because I'm taking responsibility, do I want to put something in my system that's going to potentially make me tired?
Yep.
And so they're using alcohol as a tool, right? Both to connect or maybe to take the edge off. Like I had this one client and she feels the need to, smoking is also like one of these crutches, if you will, right? And so I have to ask her, for example, what is it about wanting the drink before you go out? And she'll share, well, I have a little bit of social anxiety.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's treat the roots, right? And the root is, do we not want to be with these people, right? No, I do want to be with these people. Okay, so you start asking yourself all these questions, why, right? And for her, she has some social anxiety. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, let's try magnesium, let's try some magnesium oxide because that's a natural way to try to like take that edge off because we can't just show up to work, drinking, right? So if we have to identify these social times when we feel anxiousness, ask yourself, why am I feeling anxious? Why do I need this as a tool or a crutch? Or for me, I like the taste of wine. Do I want to be tired? I'll have one glass and then I'll be done for the rest of it. Right.
Yep.
So it's to empower each person and try to understand, what is it really about alcohol? Is it that? But it's just like food, right? Food is a very social, listen, it's another drug.
Food is my problem. I totally, it's a comfort thing, right? We all have that. And it's the trying to be better and trying to watch what I eat. And it is tough, but I feel like it comes from a place like when I get bored, I eat, and I'm like, you got to constantly keep doing something. How do you,
Yeah.
as a coach, right? You have clients come to you, whatever they're struggling with. One, I get his first part before we touch that one. You see a lot of coaches nowadays, right? You see a lot, and for you,
Yeah.
how do you one separate yourself, right? Like, what's the separator from you to say, someone that's not a legit coach? And then the second part is like how that's got to be tough to get into and really take off, because you have a lot out there, and then you have to create your own and then be good at it. So I would say, one, obviously, what's the separator for you, and then how'd you get into that, but then how'd you have success in it? Because I think that's a huge difference for people.
Yeah. Coaching is a calling. I've been coaching since 2011. Like I said, I would have told you I was a coach back then, and in bodybuilding, so my claim to fame was taking people off the couch, in every walk, shape, and life, and putting them in the top 5. And to be able to have that skill, I mean, getting someone to 77% body fat, regardless of where they started from, you are less than 1% of the population.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was a looking typecast, where a lot of folks thought, oh, I have to be a bodybuilder to work with her. Or I was lost in this bro science world, right? Because if you really want to know behind the scenes, there's no Santa Claus. The man behind the green curtain is literally not doing math. And I find it very frustrating, because especially, people would be like, oh, she's just a bikini competitor. First of all, I was 1 in 24 in the world, but that's like an ego response to come up. What I'd say is, this is a marriage, and a serious coach that's approaching this, like bringing in folks into their life. It is that level of commitment. And for me, the success drives, I'm not doing rocket science. I use blood work. I use tools that look at their body composition. And my Picasso moments are my training programs. I'm a professional bodybuilder. I put people on stage, but it's like, I want you to be a little bit scared and a little bit excited at the same time. But at the forefront is really accountability. When someone shows up for you authentically and they're there, I have clients where, they text me their success story every day.
That's
and
awesome.
that's where we just picked one item that they were going to try to accomplish. Because let's face it, if everybody knew how to look like this, they would be doing it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's that you have to help take out what I call rocks from their backpack, so that they can lighten up their load, so that they can take on more things like time in the gym. But I have a question for you, though, because you said I boredom eat. You want to see what kind of a coach I am? Let's talk about boredom eating. Is that cool?
I'm down.
All right. So my question is about boredom eating, because when I see folks that are quote unquote boredom eating, they're usually hungry and they're not eating enough. And then what happens with my ambitious humans, because we're running around all day, right? We have this chemical called ghrelin, which is our reward system. And so because we're busy professionals, entrepreneurs, that chemical suppresses our leptin, which is what tells us we're hungry. And so are you finding yourself boredom eating at a certain, particular time of the day, maybe later on? Because maybe we didn't eat enough during the day. You're just hungry.
No. You know what I feel like it is? Like, I'm very big on self-analyzing myself. Like, I do it every day.
Yeah.
So I typically, at the end of the day, I typically analyze kind of how my day went. And then I also redo it in the morning, because I analyze how my day went in the morning to kind of set the stage for how I want my day to go today. And then I do it every week. I do it every month, every quarter, every 6 months, and every year. I'm very, very system process on that. And I think for me, it's like I'm up at 5 a.m. and I have a routine. I do a quick first thing I do is moment of gratitude. So when my alarm goes off at 5, I have my 4:40 at 4:40 4:55, excuse me, I have a reminder that pops up, says, be grateful you got another day. So when my alarm goes off at 5, that's the first thing I see, right? And I take just a moment. I always watch something very positive. Like I watch this one video, it's 3 to 5 minutes long. And I set the stage for that. I take a moment for myself, just like, hey, how the day went? How do I want this to look? And then I get ready. I shower. I go out. I cold plunge. We work out for about 45 minutes every day at 6 a.m. Do a good word and a prayer with our workout group. There's 10 to 12 of us. I do in my garage. And then we have I do the infrared
sauna. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
All right. So I didn't hear any food in your system yet.
No.
Are you managing? Are you? Okay.
Protein shake. No, I do a protein shake. So I do a protein shake before workout. I do a protein shake
and
after.
What's in it?
Huh?
And what's in it? What's in it? Just protein?
Yeah, just protein and water. I typically I've like 40 to 50 grams of protein, like usually 2 scoops.
Okay.
Are
you wearing a heart rate monitor?
No heart rate monitor. No heart rate monitor.
Oh, you're gonna love me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna show you something.
Okay.
Yeah. Can we? Is it okay? We go back and forth like this?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I love this.
Awesome. Okay, good. All right. So what you did was you ingested protein. If you don't have any glycogen stores, right? So the last time you ate was the night before. That's actually gone in your muscle stores in 20 to 90 minutes. If you're not managing your heart rate during that evolution, and I'll send you the graph that I use. What happens is, think about your brain as like a Prius, okay? And when it's running on city power, right, it's just going lower speeds, it can use its battery pack, that's stored body fat, right? Then what happens is if you try to take your car, your Prius, on the freeway, the brain no longer has the time required to break down fat, both stored and consumed as a fuel source. So then what happens is the next most readily available thing it starts to look for, right? It's looking for glycogen stores in your muscles. But if the last time you ate was, let's say, so when is your nighttime meal?
7, like 6 or 7, maybe 8. Okay. But between 6 and 8 depends.
So that's 3 to 4 hours to digest, and then it's sitting there. But then your body it's looking for fuel even while it's sleeping. It's just looking for it at a lower rate. And so then by the time you woke up that morning, let's say you're going to train at 5:36, you don't have any more glycogen stores in your muscles. Okay. And so if you're not managing your heart rate and where the brain, your parasympathetic nervous system is looking for fuel, the next most readily available thing it's going to burn through is muscle mass. Okay. That's why we don't see bodybuilders running on the treadmill.
Yep.
But the only way you're going to get these facts about your body is we need to wear a heart rate monitor. And the one that I use for clients is just an Apple Watch. And I use an app called Heart Graph. And this will be good. I'll send you a photo of it. And what's so important is it shows me where your body is actually looking for fuel so that I can burn body fat, preserve my metabolic health, which is my muscle mass. So we need this data element. You know, a lot of apps and programs are really focused on sleep, which is great. However, unless you're a pro athlete, you can't just tell John, at roofing, Results Roofing that he needs to now manage his sleep. Tell Dustin, I got to take more hours. Like, you're not getting paid for that. But really where they should be looking at is, where is my body looking for fuel? This right here is my claim. I wish every personal trainer, every class, everyone should be managing, where's my body actually looking for what it's going to be required next. And so either if you're not going to eat something, some glycogen, please manage your heart rate, because this is going to protect you for your 3 kids and your wife and on through the future.
So that's awesome. Thank you.
So protein shake and go. You're welcome.
What should someone be doing, right? So what should they be doing? Just managing the heart rate, make sure, what's the ideal meal before, after, or should they?
In all honesty, you have to see what naturally the animal did in their habitat, because trying to shove someone into my design, what works for me doesn't work. But in saying that, you need to eat. Right. And this is like this is a transition for folks, because you can't just shove oatmeal down someone's face. They're going to yak in the plant, And so what I would say is, I'm a practitioner for a company called the Oxford Medical. We do the 4-panel food intolerance test. So any client I have, I already know what foods their body looks at as nutrients. So let's say, for example, but the reason why I mentioned the lifestyle is because you have to understand how they're wired in the morning, right? You know, yeah, it has
It's
to
different
fit
for everybody. Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what they should be eating and their lifestyle. For you, what are some of the carbs that you would gravitate towards normally?
Like anything with sugar in it. No, but seriously, cakes. Just hey, we're fucking being honest. Like, hey, if we're no, but so I used to like. I'm very like if I know I need to do something like and I get on it, I'll just do it. Right. I worked in the fitness
Yeah,
industry
yeah,
for a long time, so like I used to have obviously trainers and stuff. And
gyms. Yeah, you
but like I was in,
you had many gyms, right?
yeah, I at one point 30 before I got into roofing. So I was doing that obviously from an operation sales standpoint, right? Not the actual training side, but
Yeah,
like, like programs I was on, I remember I was like, I literally used to do like 2 cups of oatmeal, like not cooked or
yeah.
anything in the
Whoa,
milk with 2 protein shakes and just drink it. Like that was my breakfast before workout. Cause I was just like, hey, I'm just going to make it happen. And
yeah,
it's good. That was obviously just excuses, but that was, hey, before 3 kids and before all this. And so I don't really have a preference. Like I actually love oatmeal, right? I actually like typically if I go to a restaurant for breakfast, like I'll do like a avocado toast, like on wheat or oat. I actually,
yeah,
I would prefer oatmeal over that. I love oatmeal. So that, and then for lunch for me, I typically like some days is hit or miss, right? If I have that protein shake after a workout, sometimes I'll eat breakfast. If I don't, like if I eat breakfast, I won't eat lunch. If I don't eat breakfast, I'll eat lunch, right? Like so one or the other, and then eating when I get home. And I feel like it's when I get home, it's again all excuses, right? Like you pick your poison. Like I always laugh, say everybody has a drug of
yeah,
choice, right? They have that drug of choice. And when I get home, I get home to my wife, I get home to my kids, and it's my happy place. And we eat, and it's something that I enjoy. Like I really enjoy getting home with my family and eating dinner with my wife and kids, right? And having that whether
yeah,
dessert or snack. It's like, hey, dad's at work all day. You get home, all the stress, all the BS, you get home. But also too, it's
yeah.
like like you said, you want to live that better lifestyle because you're not going to have that dinner with your wife and kids if you're not around. So you got to make sure
Right.
at some point, you got to start putting the right stuff in your body because it can come back to haunt you later on.
Yeah. So what you're describing is, I mean, essentially, if I'm just doing some basic math, first of all, let's talk about your body like a company. Okay. Your body, in order to run, which means your organs are doing their jobs, we need to give you enough money. And that money is calories. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is based on your body composition. And so the first thing we have to do, here are the two science components. The first one is, what is your basal metabolic rate? So I use a smart scale called a Renfo. It's a body composition scale, and it tells me everything that's going on the inside. So if you were to jump on it, it tells me how much money your salary should be,
Yep.
right? Because we need our organs to do their jobs. Okay, otherwise they try to need less, and this is where you'll find people are kind of like skinny fat, right? We're underpaying them. So the first thing is, how much money do I need to run this company? So that's your basal metabolic rate, and then I look at your heart rate monitor, right? How much do we need? And then we look at your goals, but we'll just keep it simple. So the Renfo, this is the body composition scale, that tells me what your lean body mass is. That dictates how much protein you should be eating. And I'll tell you right now, this is where 99% of people, this is why I get paid the big bucks. Okay. The difference you'll find between really anyone else walking on the street and me and bodybuilders is because they'll try to feed a 200-pound man at 30% body fat, the same amount of protein, a 200-pound man at 10% body fat. They should not be eating the same amount of protein. Your protein content should be based on your lean body mass. And I'll give you the math. If you want to know how much protein you should be eating, it's your lean body mass multiplied by 1.15 or 1.25 grams. That's if you're on a calorie deficit, okay? You want to lose weight. Because I need to preserve Otherwise, it's just wasted calories,
Yeah.
right? And then from there, so we have our salary. How much are we going to pay to protein? And then we have two other departments, unless you're doing keto, but that's a complicated conversation. And the rest of the money is going to go to carbs and to fats. And so for me, you know, if you look at digestion and you look at what the body can withstand and what you're describing currently as your lifestyle choices, is you're kind of like giving a little bit of money in the morning, and maybe you'll do a little more, maybe you won't. But then we're spending a shit ton of money at dinner.
We're blowing it all at night.
We're blowing it all at night. But here's the thing. The body can only digest so much as nutrients. And then I'm going to throw a wrench in your world. Let's say you get upset, right? You get mad. Now, I know you're not mad at the family because you seem like you seem like a very nice guy. But for the rest of the world, you know, there might be some guilt associated with food. There might be trouble in the home. Think about the gazelle in the wild. Now she's chilling with her friends. She's eating a burger. All of a sudden she has to run for her life, and she just consumed that whole burger. Her body cannot digest food as a nutrient and save her life at the same time. And so when we enter these stages of stress, it's all hands on deck to just save the person. Okay. So the first thing to do is to just understand, like, what state am I at? Right? Am I stress eating?
Yeah.
Well, the body cannot use that as nutrients. So even if you were making positive food choices, your parasympathetic nervous system, I call her my roommate. My roommate is so focused on what she's pissed off about that she can't come over here and do her job, which is break down what I'm giving her. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect.
So it's just like, think about it. Am I in fight or flight right now? Or am I in a state of calm? And so what you're describing eating with your family is amazing. When I put families on, or I work with like one member of the family, and this is actually why I coach a lot of families, is because I can't just have dad, eating healthy, nutritious meals and mom and the kids eating bean burritos. That doesn't work. So if my coaches are out there listening to this, please extend your support to the family, because if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. Yeah, right? True.
Yep.
So what I'd say is, you have to look at your body composition and look at how to fuel you during the day, and then maybe just manage that portion control at night. So don't take it away, but maybe just be more mindful around, because see, it takes 15 minutes for your leptin level. That's that chemical that says, I've had enough, to say, I've had enough. And so spreading out the food, taking care of you during the day, so you can be more mindful around what you're eating around with your family, and teaching them these good habits too, because, they learn from us, right? And I'm sure you and your wife are probably really good parents. And so portion control is important.
It is. You did say one thing, that's I'm a nice guy. I'm not. So it's not all the time, but we have we're a dysfunctional family, but it's ours. It's boys are fighting. The girl's taking something from them. Wife's yelling at me because she's yelling at the kids, and I'm laughing. And but it's ours, right? And we love it. So it's a shit show, but it's our shit show.
I think that's a perfect family. I think it's the people that are suppressing. I don't know how about your childhood, but if you think about, I grew up, two functioning meth addicts, right? I got shingles at 15 because I didn't know what I was going home to. Also met my dad twice. My mom, drug addict, prostitute, taken away at 7. It's like the home environment for me. I get nervous just thinking about it still sometimes, but it's like, it's that awareness, and I don't have to walk around eggshells. If I'm thinking something, I express it, and that took me a lot of therapy and a lot of years. And in all honesty, bodybuilding, I'm so thankful that I found bodybuilding, because, let's be real. I was driving to the gym to hurt myself. Like that is really what we're all doing, because that's where muscles grow. That's where we get stronger. And, I was a bully in school because I was being, that's how I felt at home. And I had to deal with those challenges and those issues. And so A loud house is a happy house, you know?
Exactly. Be you. It's just it's like I always love I feel like you gotta be unapologetically yourself. And even
You
just
do.
on social media and where you're at, it's like so many people pretend that everything's okay and everything's perfect and everything. I'm like, no, it's not. And that's what makes it even better, right? Like that's what makes it fun is be vulnerable, be authentic, right?
Yeah.
Understand like, and you're gonna miss these moments. This is why, like, even with the kids, I'm like, spilling something, messing something up, whatever it is. It's like one day you're gonna look back and go, man, I wish I had that moment with my 7 year old,
Yeah.
my 4 year old, my newborn, whatever. But I do have a question.
Yeah.
So obviously, coach, um, still working out, still doing that. What like where the hell did the DJ fit in, and how did you do that? And how does that come in? How does that come into play?
A great question. Um, so the short answer is my husband, during the pandemic, we're all locked inside. If I look back and I say, why did that start? When I get depressed, I'm an ambitious human. I can't just sit, I can't just wallow. And so I need to stay busy. And something that really saved me growing up through all these stages of challenges was if my hands worked and my feet worked and my brain worked, I could learn something new. And so, that's actually how I got all of these different accolades from my education was I would just go back to school and learn something
Yeah.
because no one gets stupid, right? No one can take that away from you. And so back when the pandemic started, and I lived downtown San Francisco. A very good friend of ours, Marcello, he's a famous DJ, traveled all over. He taught my husband, and we were throwing this block party just at a restaurant called Aquilina because it was the only thing we were allowed to eat outside, but you couldn't go inside. The whole masks. San
God.
Francisco and California was
Yeah.
very strict around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, but this is something that could bring people out of their homes and in the street where we were actually allowed to congregate. And so we ended up doing this block party every Sunday. And, I love my DJs, but just like bodybuilding, sometimes we get some egos. And I told my husband, because some of the DJs were a little frustrating to work with at times, I said, I'll learn how to press the buttons. Back in my modeling days, I would make videos to whatever the photos were that I was working with the photographer. I would use GarageBand. And so I said, listen, I can learn how to do this. But then no one really wanted to teach me. So I ended up every night for 3 months taking this class from this guy named Andrew. And I sat in front of my computer every night with a little mixer and a little system. And he taught me how to DJ. I learned musical theory. But San Francisco is very lucky because there's only a few of us left, right? And so between that, I got some opportunities, and DJing scares the shit out of me.
Awesome.
I still shake. So yeah, so if you ever watch me play, you'll notice that I'm holding one of the non-working channels down because there's a lot going on and I don't want to accidentally touch something I'm not supposed to. And,
awesome.
But yeah, it's, talk about drinking. I don't need to do drugs. I am awake and alive. There's a lot of shit going on up here. There's a lot of buttons. And I want to do a good job. Music is so healing. And I approach it with the same sincerity and seriousness as I do everything else. And I want to give people I want to tell a story and I want to bring you on a journey. Our time is such a gift. So when someone comes to watch me play, I want to show up for you and I want to give you something for the time that you've shared with me. And it's important.
That's amazing. I love that. A question for like the coaching where you were coaching, because I felt like a lot of coaches came around during COVID or maybe after COVID, right? Is when I saw it kind of really take off. That like I felt like people that did it after COVID were like they got fired from their job because they were supposed to come back to work and they didn't want to, so they did the whole work from home shit, but they weren't really a
They
coach. And I'm
did.
just like, it's like for me, it's like you said, it's like okay, if I want advice from a trainer, I want a coach, then they better be in better shape than me. Like I just don't want the dude that's in bad shape. If I'm getting a financial coach, you better have more money than me. If it's a business coach,
Right.
you better be in a place to where I don't take advice from someone that's not living the life I want to live in that area or that
Yeah.
arena or has done
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do. for you, you said, when did you get in 2011, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 2011 is when I started my practice.
Did it like, and I'm assuming obviously it was difficult because it was COVID, but what did you see your business spike? Because I can almost see like business going up a little bit because people were stuck and they're like, wow, I need this, like, trainer at home or whatever. I need a mind coach because I'm struggling with this. Did you see your business go up during COVID, or was it hurt?
No. Friend, let me give you my opinion on why I think it went up so much after COVID. It is people didn't want to go back to work, and so then what they started doing was people started running a business on coaching how to be a coach.
Yeah,
and that's what you see now, right? Is it's just another revenue stream. And I would say, on the one hand, I want to say, I mean, thank you for trying to do the Lord's work because it's really important what we do. And on the other hand, like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? You are responsible for people's lives. And if you do not have the education and experience, and I see people lying, I'm so frustrated right now because I look at it and I'm being very real and very honest. My friends would be like, why'd you say that? I'd be like, because I'm me. But in saying this, I see people and they're like, I have 3 decades of experience. Bitch, I'm 3 years older than you. How? I have a 20-year-old daughter. I am not taking advice from my 20-year-old daughter. So how is it that you've been in the business for 3 decades
and you're 21?
Am I doing something wrong?
Yeah.
But like I said, then the other side of me is like, listen, if you wanted to go get skills and tools and you want to help be a catalyst for change for people, then far be it from me to cast aspersions on, folks. And I had a client as of late and I was like, man, these people are lying. And I remember he said, well, a lot of people embellish. And I said, no, actually, no, we don't. No, we don't. And so did my business do well? So I've run my business almost entirely off referrals since I started, which is amazing because I've coached some very, very famous people you see on the news, people. And it was just, what happened was, and I had to really, really rally because let me tell you, I'm also going through depression of COVID. I can't say depression, but just an unsure time.
It just didn't feel right. Yeah, it didn't feel right. You're stuck. Yeah.
Who did? Yeah. Who did? And so then it was like I really had to kind of pull up the bootstraps because I have a roster of folks where all of our lives are falling down. And by the way, I have the same morning bubble creation is what I call my morning rituals, because I need to create an environment around me that's positive. My mindset has to be in a certain frame. So we have very similar starts to our day, except for I'm eating breakfast. But anyways, so I took these folks where I was like, hey, we have an opportunity right now. Yes, the world is shutting itself down and it's an ambiguous time. However, the world is going to open up. And do you want to be like everyone else? I'm talking in particular about this one. She was a producer. And I said, we have an opportunity right now where we have time and we can buckle down. She didn't want to cook. She had like no skills whatsoever. And I said, listen, I will band with you. If you show up for me, I will band with you and we're going to do this. And, we took that time during COVID and literally once it opened up, literally she's showing up in these big meetings with, I'm not allowed to name, but she was the one to beat.
That's awesome.
And then I had another gal and I was like, listen, you want to be in a Marvel movie? We're not putting on pads. You better show up with some shoulders, because if you want to impress someone like me, that's actually living the walking the walk and talking the talk, we're going to need to show up like a superhero. And so literally that's what we spent that time doing, was training what I call fantasy football for body parts. And I want you to walk in these casting calls like you are the Marvel.
Yeah, you already own it.
You already own it. I'm just, like The Secret says, I'm just coming in to pick up my trophy. And so once I kind of shifted their mindset to that, it changed everything. And that's what I do in my everyday practice. That's why, the DJ is important, because you can do whatever you want to do, be who you ever want to be. Who would have thought I would be DJing?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, that's
I want
crazy.
people to dream. you
Yeah,
know?
you have to. You get look. I always laugh. If anyone can do it, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Right? It's like the same. Mom's a meth head. Did it. Unfortunately, drugs, alcohol, stepdad. I don't know my father. It wasn't supposed to be here. And I really believe, like, look, your script's written. Right? There's a life because your environment you come from, and there's a script pre-written for you, and only you can change it. And it's a lot of work, but you're in charge of it. You're starring in your own movie, and you're writing it, and you can, and it takes work. But I'm like, look, if I can do it, anyone can do it, right? It was a lot of work. There's a lot of shortcomings and failures and challenges along the way. But I really have learned, man, as I got older, that I'm everything I am, not because of what I've accomplished, it's because of what I failed at. If all those
Yeah.
failures have literally taught me everything and I've learned so much from them and they've built the character. And it is, if you went and wanted to build a superhero, right? If you wanted to choose a
Yeah.
superhero, you wouldn't give them an easy life. They would have lived a hard life to become that superhero. So if you want to be a superhero, you're going to live a hard life. You have to keep fighting through it. So I know
Yeah.
we're out of
It,
time, but I want to obviously, how can people find you and what can they find you for? Like for, coaching, DJ, if you're in California, also go Dodgers. But besides that, right? How can they find you for the coaching? How can they find you if they want the fitness part and DJ? Because I think that's an incredible story.
find me again. My name is Christina Williams. My website is imaginewhaticanbe.com. And I really just cannot stress that enough because I'm the kingmaker. So whatever you want to be, we're going to work our way through it. You can find me on Instagram at Christina Williams World because we're all just living in it, trying to do better one day at a
Yeah.
time. And my DJ name is Femme Fatale. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on SoundCloud. And the key really is just imagine what you can be. That's the key. We can do
That's
it.
awesome. I love that. So if you want to go drop some sick beats while you're working out and get your mind right, look no further. Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. I will hit you up about some of that workout stuff because I need it.
Love it.
I will. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dustin. I appreciate you.